Hey everyone, welcome to a new video. This is part 15 of the e-commerce app playlist, and I could say that this video is the most important one so far in this playlist because we will deal with Firebase storage to save media like the product images, and I will also show you how to use that with Firestore. You will also see how to use Kotlin coroutines with Firebase and much more. And now let me show you what we are going to build in this video. Alright, so as you can see, today we are building an entire app. Well, this app will help us to add products and save them into our database, which is Firestore. Okay, now let me demonstrate that and let's add a new product. I will actually add anything in here. Category from chairs. Product description is optional, so we can leave it, but in my case I'm gonna write anything. And in here we add the price, so $50. And if there is an offer in this product, we can add the offer percentage in here, which is also optional, so we can leave it, or we can just add a percentage, so 50%. And the product details, here we can add the sizes, so if we, for example, selling shoes or stuff like that, we can add sizes in here, small, large, x large. Now we can select the colors for this product. So as you can see, we're gonna implement that. We can select multiple colors actually, and here we show the selected colors. Now let's add one more color. And finally, which is the most important part, the images. So now we can click on the images. We can now select multiple images. Of course, I don't have any images related with that chair, so I'm just gonna pick any images from here. So I selected 3 images, click on select, and as you can see, here gives us the count for the images we've selected. Finally, we can click on save to save that. As you can see, now we're saving it. And now let's go to the Firebase console to see if we have saved the data. Okay, now I opened the storage and the Firebase Cloud Store. Let's refresh both of them and see if we got the products or the product that we've added. As you can see, we have a new collection here called the products, which is going to have all the products documents. So this is the product that we have added. The category is chair and the description a chair covered with fabric. Here is the images. We uploaded them successfully. So let me show you. I'm gonna take this image path, paste it in here. As you can see, is the same image we've selected from the gallery, and we have all the details. So as you can see, this images is a list, the sizes as well. If we go to the colors, also the colors is a list. Now if I go to the storage, as you can see, we have this directory or this file, products, and we have a child file called images, which has the images that we have uploaded. So as you can see. Alright, now let's get starting with building this app. Alright, now first of all, I will not design anything in this video. That's why I have prepared the design for you. So all you want to do is to go to this repository. You will find the link in the description. Then click on code and copy the link of this repository. After that, go to your Android Studio, click on File, New, Project from Version Control, and here you're gonna paste this link, click on Clone. Now wait until the project is downloaded. You can click on new window for me. And now you have the initial project. Let me show you what I have prepared for you. So on one hand, we have the product class, which has all the information about the product, like the ID, the name, category, price, offer percentage, description, colors, sizes, and the images. And these are the same that we wanna save into our Firestore database. Now if we go to the main activity, I also have some stuff. This is for the menu, and let me show the design real quick. So as you can see, this is just a basic design. Okay, now the first thing we want to do is to link this project with our Firebase console, with our project on Firebase. We already did that in the first videos of the series, so we're gonna do it now again. Click on Tools, click on Firebase, and now from here select any service. Let's select the first one and click on Get Started. Then click on Connect with Firebase. Now it will ask you to build the project, so click on build. After the build is done, click on connect to Firebase again, and now select the project, then click on connect. And that's already it. Now if we get back in here, click again, you should see the green connected word. And now let's click on tools again, Firebase, and let's add the dependencies. So we need the Cloud Firestore. Click on here and get started with the Cloud Firestore. Choose the Kotlin one, add that dependency, click on active changes. We also need to add the cloud storage, so click on here and add the Kotlin version. Okay, now we are ready to start working, and we would start with a save click. So when we click on save, we first going to check if the inputs are correct, and if they are correct, then we can just save all the information. We can get all the information and save them. So let's start from here. First of all, we're going to check if the clicked item, if the ID of the clicked item equals to r.id.saveProduct. So this ID inside our menu, which I have also prepared, of course. Let me show you it. So this is the same ID. So we check if the clicked item equals to this ID, then we wanna save the images. But before that, we wanna actually check if the inputs are correct. So to do that, val product validation equals to validate information. Let's create this function, and this function will return a boolean. We first want to check if we entered a price, so .ed price text to string, we trim that. Then if it's empty, then we return false, and we also check if we have an entry for the name. And I forgot to tell you something about this app, which is that I'm not gonna use MVVM architecture with this app, because this app is actually a helper app, not an essential app. So we're just gonna write our code inside the activity itself. So this app has nothing to do with architecture design patterns like the MVVM or MVI or whatever. As I said, I'm gonna just write the code inside the main activity. Okay, now let's continue. We wanna make sure that the user at least selected one image. For that, we're going to create private var selected images and make this a mutable list of. In here, we're going to have the URI of the images, because we're going to get them from the gallery, and we're just gonna get the URI. The gallery sent us the URI of the image. Okay, now we check in here if the selected images is empty, then we're also gonna return true. We're gonna return false. And if we reach here, then we're just gonna return true. So we know all the inputs are correct. Now going back to this line, now we can check if this is false. We can just make a toast, the context, and we can show this message, check your inputs. Then we can just return false. Else than that, we're going to call the save product function. Let's create that function now. Inside this function, we're going to create our product object and save it into Firebase. Okay, first of all, let's get the name, which is binding.edName text to string, and we trim that. Can get the category, and the price. We also need to get the offer percentage. There is also the description. Now we can get the sizes. So So val sizes, and for that I'm gonna create a function for that. So get sizes, and we're going to pass the text. Can get it from ed sizes.text.toString. We can trim that. Now let's create this function, and this function will return a list of strings. Okay, here I'm gonna rename this parameter, call this sizes string. Before implementing this function, let me show you a quick example. So this sizes string is like this. Let's say small, medium, large, x large. Now as you can see, we have a comma between each size. So to get the size itself, we can convert this string into an array. Each index inside this array has a size. And to do that in Kotlin, there's a function called split. Let me show you that. But before that, let me check if the sizes string is not empty or is empty, then we're just gonna return null. And here we can make this nullable. And if we reach in here, then we can use the split function I told you about. So sizes list equals the sizes string dot split. And here you can specify the delimiters. In our case, this comma. So we will put each size in a new index, and then we can return our list. Okay, now for the colors, we won't actually get them in here. Instead, we want to have it as a member variable inside this class. So private val selected colors equals to mutable list of, and this is gonna be an integer because colors can represent it by an integer value. Now we actually get the colors when we click on the color button. Let me show you. When we click on here, then we want to show that color picker dialog, and each time the user select a new color, we're gonna add it to this list. So let's do that. We're gonna set a click listener on that button. So in here, binding dot button color picker dot set on click listener. Now we can create the color picker dialog and call the builder class, and inside here pass the context. And now we have some functions just like the alert dialog. Set title, let's name this product color, and for the positive button, the text for that button is select, and we need to implement the click listener. For that we can use object color envelope. So that's how they describe it in their document. By the way, I got this library from GitHub if you are wondering. And now we can just override this, and here we have the color envelope, but this is nullable, so we can make a null check. And in here we can actually add the color in here. So selected colors dot add, we can get the color like this. And we need to add one more button, set negative button. The text for this one is cancel, and we can have a listener like this. So this gives us the color picker dialog, and it gives us another value that we're not gonna use, so underscore. And in this function we will just hide the dialog. Now let's launch the app to see that if that works. Click on colors. We actually forgot to call the show function, so now it will work. Click on colors. As you can see, we can select any color. So we're not done yet. We actually need to update the text view, and for that we're going to create a new function under this line. Call this function update colors. Create that outside actually in the activity. In this function we will actually convert the integer colors into hexadecimal strings and show that into our text view. So for that we're going to have our color string, which is an empty string. After that we will go through all the colors or the selected colors for each, and for each color we wanna assign it to the colors. Then we will assign the new color because this is a for loop. In here, we're gonna convert this into hex string. As I said, to do that, there's a function inside the integer class dot to hex string. And now we pass the integer. And after that, we can just set that text into our text view. Let's run the app again and see that. Okay, I'm gonna select this color, as you can see, another color, and as you can see, we have all the colors shown inside this text view. Okay, now moving to the next thing, which is the images, this list. Now, under this, we're gonna also add a click listener on the image button. So button image picker dot set on click listener, and here we will launch an implicit intent to select multiple images from the gallery. So let's create the intent object, and in here we need to add this action get content. Can import that. Then we want to tell this intent that we want to select multiple images. To do that, we're gonna send that by an extra intent dot extra allow multiple and pass true. Then intent and specify the type, so we're only gonna pick images. Image star. This star means that any type of images. And finally, we're going to launch our activity the activity result. So let's create that in here. Val select images activity result. Register for activity result, and in here we're going to pass the activity contract. So activity result contracts dot start activity for result, and then open curly bracket, but we forgot to add the constructor braces. Now as you can see, we have the activity result in here. So back to this function, we're going to launch this activity result. Select images activity result dot launch, and for the input we can just pass our intent. Now inside here we're going to check if, now inside here as we said, we get the result, and first of all we're going to check if the result code is okay. If this is true, then we can get the intent. And now there are two different possibilities. The first one, when the user selects multiple images. So let's handle that. So I'm gonna create a comment here to make this clear. So let's check that. If intent dot clip data, here the intent is null, so we need to add this question mark. If this does not equal to null, that means we have list of images that were selected. Now we want to get the count of those images, and later we can actually start a loop to loop over all the images. So now the loop starts from 0 until the count -1, or without the minus because we're using the until keyword. Then we can call for each. So here we get this, the count here is null. Okay, so if it's null, then we can just make it 0. And now let's get the image URI dot clip data get item at, and now we can pass it, and it here is the index, and after that we can get the URI. Now this URI might be null, that's why we need to make a null check, and if this is not null, then we can finally add it to our list. Sorry, this is inside the selected images. Okay, now we held this possibility. When the user selects multiple images, we know that the user selected only one image. So val image URI equals to intent data, and here we're gonna make a null check. Then we can just add it into our list. Okay, now one more thing is to update our text view. So under this curly bracket, we're gonna call update images function, create that, and in here we're gonna update our text view. So we're just gonna show the count of the images we have in the list. Okay, that's it. Let's test that. Let's select 3 images. Select, as you can see, we got 3 images. If we now click again, select 1 image, now it's 4 images. Let's try to select 2 more images. We get 6 images. Now everything is correct. Now we want to take our images and convert them into byte arrays because that's the format that's supported by the Firebase storage. So here we need to have another val images byte arrays equals get images byte arrays, and let's create this function. So this function will return a list of byte array. Now let's create this list in here. And now we want to loop our selected images for each. Now to get the byte array from a URI of an image, we need something called byte array output stream. So let's create an instance from that. And then we want to get the bitmap from our URI. So val image bitmap. There is a function inside the media store API from images.media.getBitmap. This one. This function is deprecated but still works. Here you need to pass the content resolver and pass the URI, which is it. And now to save this image inside this stream, we can use the compress function, which will also compress our image. And that function returns true, so here we can check if image bitmap dot compress. Here we specify the format, so bitmap dot compress format JPEG, and we also need to pass the quality, so pass 100, and finally the stream pass stream. And if this is true, we can add that byte array into our list. So images byte array dot add, and to get the image as a byte array, we can use our stream dot to byte array. And finally, we can return that list. Okay, now finally everything is ready. We can actually work with Firebase Cloud Storage and the Firestore. And the very important thing is that I'm going to use Firebase with coroutines. I'm not going to use the Firebase listener functions like add on success listener or add on failure listener, because if I use them, then the code will look very messy. For that, we will just use coroutines with Firebase, and that's why you can find this dependency in here. So this will just enable us to use coroutines with Firebase. So what are we gonna do first? When the user clicks on save, we first want to upload the images in parallel, so all together, not in sequence, because that will be very slow. So we upload them in parallel all together, and that's why we're gonna use coroutines. And then after the images are being uploaded on our storage, then we can take the download URL for each image and put it inside a list that we will create now. Then after the images are all uploaded, we can finally create our product object and store it into our Firestore. So first of all, as we said, we're going to create a list for the images download URL. So val images equals mutable list of string. So this will just have the URLs of the images. And let's launch a new live cycle scope.launch. We can launch it inside the dispatchers IO. So this is for input output operations. And in here we can first show the loading progress bar. So we're gonna create that function. We will implement it later. And our code will be inside a try catch block because we're going to handle the errors on our own. We don't have that fancy functions that listeners try catch. Here we catch an exception. So when we catch an exception, we're gonna print that, and we're gonna just hide the loading bar. So hide loading. Then we will launch a new async block, and this async block is just a coroutines block which will actually block all the code that comes below of it. So if we now have a wait function here, that means, and this await function means that we first want to wait for the code inside this block to finish, then we can complete the rest of the code that comes below this try and catch block. So in here we can just upload our images. So let's actually do that. We're gonna loop over our images. So images byte array dot for each, and let's actually create a unique ID for each image. Can use this class to generate a random ID. And because we said we want to upload all the pictures in parallel, we don't want to upload them sequentially. For that, we're going to launch a new coroutine scope for each image, and in here we can actually upload the image. So go up and let's create an instance for the Firebase storage. So private val, let's call this product storage, and to get a reference can use firebase.storage.reference. Now go back to our launch block, and in here we want to define the path that we want to store in. So val image, let's say image storage products storage dot child. So this child will create a new folder. Let me show you that inside the Firebase. We first have the products folder, then the images folder, then we have our images. So here we're gonna create first the products, then the images folder, and inside the image we can actually add our ID, our image ID. After this, call image storage dot put bytes. So this will just upload the image and we can pass it. And now to get the response for this operation, let's first add this into a val and call the await function. Now we want to use this result to get the download URL of that image. So val download URL result.storage.download URL.await, and this will give us a URI, so we want to convert it into a string. Finally, we can add that into our list. And after the try catch block, we can just create our product object. So product equals to product. Here we can pass a random ID, UI ID dot random ID dot toString. Let's actually go to the product class and change this to a string. Get back. Name will be name. Category is category. Price is a price, but we have it as a string. We want to convert it to a float. The offer percentage could be null, so we can check if offer percentage is empty, then we can send null, else we can just send the offer percentage but convert it to a float. Same thing for the description, it could be null, so description dot is empty. If it's null, or if it's empty, we'll pass null, else we're gonna pass the description. And the same thing for colors. Here, go again to the product class. We need to change the color here, change it to integer, so it's a list of integers. And now pass the sizes. Here the sizes is nullable, so that's why you don't make that check. And finally the images, we're gonna pass images. Now finally we're gonna save this object into firestore, or we can just use the Firebase listeners function. So I'm gonna just use that. So go here and let's have a reference to our firestore. Private val firestore firebase.firestore. Go down. Let's actually create a collection. Call that products. And you can call add. And then add, we're gonna add this object. In here we can add on success listener. And we can have a callback for on failure listener. So on success listener, we're just gonna hide the loading. The same thing for on failure listener, but this time we're gonna log.e the exception. So just gonna log error it.message.toString. And that's it. That's it for this function. Now everything is ready, but let me just implement these functions, the head loading and show loading. For that, go to your design and let's add the progress bar because I forgot to add it. So go to split mode, and in here, you can add the progress bar, wrap content, it's gonna be at the bottom of the screen. Start, parent, end-to-end parent, and we actually wanna put this down, so change this to match parent, and inside the scroller view add fill viewport, make it true, and also for this linear layout make it wrap content. Okay, now this is our progress bar. Gonna just add an ID for this one. And the visibility is invisible. Let's go back to our activity. Let's implement those functions. So in here, we're just gonna hide it. And in here, we're gonna show it. And finally, that's it. Let's launch the app. Hopefully everything works. Let me show you this. I'm gonna delete everything. So delete, and I'm also going to delete my collection. So the products collection here, I'm gonna delete it. All right, let's go to our app. Let's add a new product. Category. Chair made of plastic. $10. Offer percentage 0.3. Well, the decimal numbers is not working. We can go to the XML file again and fix that. So click on the offer percentage edit text and change from number to decimal number. The same thing for a price, because a price can have decimal numbers. Okay, I have another problem. The sizes here is number. Can change that. Make this text. Run the app again. Sizes, medium, large, X large, anything. Colors, let's pick our colors. Images, so pick an image from here, select. And finally, let's save. We've got an error. Let's see what that is. Okay, the issue is because we actually tried to change something in the UI on the IO thread, on the IO dispatcher, sorry. So we can solve that by switching the context. So here with context, dispatchers.main. Cut this, put it in here. I'm gonna copy this again, put it in here, but this is for hiding, so I'm gonna fix that real quick. Now let's launch again and see. So I'm gonna add any random information, images. So I'm gonna select 2 images. Let's save that. Okay, it's saving right now. It's done. Let's see if we have any errors. We don't have any errors. Now let's go to Firebase, refresh. Let's see that. Okay, we have a products collection. We have this product, and here's the images, here are the colors. Everything was added successfully. So as you can see, the images here, we have the download link that we will use with a glide later to show the image. As you can see, we have also the images saved inside the storage. So everything works perfect. Okay guys, so that was all for this video. I know it's a long video, but it's very important to understand. And if you are still watching, I want to thank you so much for trusting my content. And for that, make sure to like and subscribe to my channel. And for that, make sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel. If you want to contact with me, you can check out my Instagram link. So that was all for this video. Thank you so much again. Hope you have a great day and catch you in the next video.